The generic geriatric cyclist. Episode 9. Is cycling too expensive? Hello, and welcome to episode 9 of the generic geriatric cyclist. I guess it's not too hard to figure out what today's episode is about. Money. The question we'll answer is, cycling too expensive? First, I want to start with a disclaimer. If you have bushels of money and you want to spend it all on bicycles, the nicest bicycle in the world, a dozen of the nicest bicycles of the world, have at it, more power to you. I wish I was in your cycling shoes. But this video is aimed towards cyclists of average means who would go bankrupt if we were to indulge in all of our bicycle dreams and fantasies. So, is cycling a very expensive activity? Well, the bottom line is it can be, but it doesn't have to be. Let's compare it with some of the other activities that people of our generation indulge themselves in. If I won a big lottery payout, I might have a few of these beauties in my garage. But any one of them will set you back a lot more than you could honestly admit to your spouse. Let's move on to boats. Classic cars are child's play compared to owning a boat, especially boats like these examples. How about golf? Golf has an easy entry in comparison, but if you play regularly, green fees can be more than a lot of people's mortgages. Then there are the golf vacations and the condo in Myrtle Beach. Then there are motorcycles. 10 grand or more for a Harley, about 25,000 for a BMW. But then your gas mileage is better than your SUV. Suddenly that 3 or 4 grand you spent on a bicycle doesn't seem all that extravagant, even though your brother-in-law thinks that you spent too much money for what he sees as a child's toy. Bicycles are one of the rare consumer products whose value goes up proportionate to price, up to a certain point. After that, you reach a point of diminishing returns. And there's a big gap between what we need for cycling and what we would like to have in order to satisfy our bike lust. So here's what we want. The top of the line. Aero, fast, and lighter than air. With the right rider, it could win the Tour de France. Or you might want a custom, handmade, bespoke build that will fit you like a glove. I always wanted a classic, butted steel, Italian-made bicycle with a great paint job. I'd probably never use it though. I mean, do I really want to get it dirty? This is what we actually need. Something at the bottom of the middle of the price spectrum. At this price point, most manufacturers go cheap on the wheels. So, when they inevitably wear out, you'll have to get a new wheel set. Still a bargain. Believe it or not, the $2,000 bike will give you 90% of the performance of this $12,000 pro-level endurance bike that's ready to compete in the European Spring Cobbled Classics. That extra 10% of performance comes at a $10,000 premium. The fact that we don't need a bicycle capable of winning a Grand Tour shouldn't come as a surprise to us. But sometimes it's hard to stand up to the bicycling industry and the bicycling media as they encourage us to buy the ever newest, lightest, and most gadgety gadgets that come down the pike. We can often be guilted into spending a lot more money than we need. But as I said before, if you have the money, go ahead and spend it. Do we need a high modulus carbon fiber frame set? Do we need a carbon deep dish aero wheel set, or will aluminum do? Shimano Dura Ace costs 2 to 3 times as much as 105. Is it that much better? Short answer, nope, it's not. Or, as the great Eddie Merckx said, don't buy upgrades, ride upgrades. Do you want less weight to push up the hills? Well, losing 5 pounds is 5 times more effective than saving 1 pound of weight on your bicycle. Do you want to be more aero? Ride in the drops a little more often than you ride on the tops. And as far as cycling clothes go, I don't need to spend a ton of money to look like a stuffed sausage. I can do that just as easily with mid-range clothes. So, bottom line is, as I said in the beginning, cycling can be a very expensive activity, but it doesn't have to be. So that takes care of the quality portion of this video. Let's get down to the quantity. When you like to ride bicycles, you usually want to have more than one. You can figure out why at a later date, but you'll eventually be able to justify it. Then it's down the rabbit hole you go. Just remember, no matter how many bikes you have, you'll still want another one. You'll need a backup bike, a winter bike, a gravel bike, a mountain bike, an electric bike, and then one of those fat tire bikes for the winter. So once again, if you have the money and the storage space, have at it. Well, that's it for today. So long. Please come back for episode 10, where I'll be answering 10 questions that I might have neglected over the first 9 episodes. See you then.